I want to thank each and every one of you guys for your response to the Getting Things Off My Chest video. Your kind words, your compassion, your concern, everything is appreciated. It was a video I didn't expect to get 200 hits, but you guys have responded in a great way, and it's actually caused me to want to follow up a little bit with that. Speak with a couple of things that were maybe mentioned only briefly during the last video, provide a little bit more detail, and talk about my health, and in the end, some financial things. I don't like to talk about that very much, but you know, this is meant to be a bit of full disclosure, so we're going to just go to town with that. So in the last video, we were talking about how 2008, which is the year that actually led to this channel being founded the next year as Cover Killer, was not a very good year. Well, severe depression is nothing to screw with. It's something that if you suffer from severe depression on a daily basis, I marvel at you, because mine was only temporary. Mine was based off of holding things in for a long period of time, to the point that whenever it exploded, it kind of broke me for a little bit. It's a bad habit that I have. It's something where I feel that I can handle everything and will be just fine, but eventually everything culminates, everything explodes, and it's not a good thing. It's kind of a hard habit to kick, but over time, it's certainly one that has become a little bit easier to manage. But based off of that year, I was on some pretty bad medication. And by bad, I don't necessarily mean, you know, I was catatonic or anything like that, but it nearly caused an accidental overdose. During a blackout that occurred in September of 2008, I woke up in a hospital room. Nobody should ever wake up in a hospital room. It is a scary, scary thing. Having other people fill in the blanks to what happened, especially if you have no recollection of it, is kind of a horrible thing. And looking in the future after that, and seeing that the medication had a moderate to severe side effect risk of suicidal ideation and suicide attempts, whether they be intentional or accidental, you know, without you really knowing what you were doing, that was quite the wake-up call as well. Something that probably should have been researched prior to taking the very first dose. That psychiatrist was promptly fired and really should have been sued. But, you know, you live, you learn, and then you move on. Really the main thing for me has been, over the past 14 years, the slow de-evolution of my joints, whether it be my knees, my hips, my back, my shoulders, anything really like that. And it also includes those joints too. No, I'm kidding. But at any rate, I have played a lot of sports throughout my life. I've basically played all of the major sports here in America, with the lone exception of football. But if you are a Brit, I've played football, you know, soccer. I played a couple years of that as well. I bowled. I have done all sorts of different things. I wrestled, whether it be in backyards or in basements. Did a bunch of crazy shit whenever I was in college. Did some crazy shit after college that was also wrestling based with some friends, that actually led to one such injury to my knee. It was over WrestleMania weekend, I think in 2009, so pretty interesting stuff. But the slow de-evolution of these joints has been in pops and different creaks, and pain consistently just started to really appear more often, and to the point where it appeared and never really stopped. It never went away. It started to become a sort of daily thing, part of the routine. It was one that certainly magnified a lot more whenever I was working at the music store for 5.5 years, because anywhere that I work, I want to bust my ass. With anything that I do, I want to put forth the best effort that I can, even if it's not one that looks the best. It doesn't look like the most modern thing that you see. These videos, of course, don't look like someone like PewDiePie's or maybe even the Needle Drops, but I aim for the information to at least be interesting, and I aim to talk about stuff with an honest tongue, which can also include and sometimes have mistakes within it, because we're only human, and that should be part of what reality is all about in not only criticism but also in life. You know, we have to embrace the mistakes of our peers a little bit more than we are here in 2016, where it seems like we're doing nothing but criticizing everything that they do, even the stuff that they're doing right. But in 2014, I started to get the rumblings of some answers. Finally went to the doctor, and they stated it was IT band syndrome. Now, if you don't know what that is, it's something that typically plagues runners or athletes. The muscle between the knee And the hip gets extremely tight. It gets twisted around the hinge of it, and it causes a lot of pain in those locations. Now, that's usually fixed with a little bit of medication, with some physical therapy in order to strengthen up those muscles and to cause them to loosen up a little bit as opposed to be wound so tightly. So I went through that procedure, and the only thing that it did was it decreased the wobble whenever I crouched down and up, whenever I was, picking up boxes or something like that. It didn't remove the pain whatsoever. Did make those muscles stronger, so no more wobble, but if anything, the pain increased. So that was the wrong diagnosis, obviously. So if you've seen me during streams, especially whenever I do streams late at night, about 7 or 8 o'clock my time, if you see me walk away for a little bit, take 5 as I call it, yeah, I am going out there to smoke a cigarette. It is one of my 2 vices alongside of this right here, which is no doubt killing me somehow. Probably high blood pressure or some shit. But I also have to take the second dosage of my medicine that I take for this. Principally because the leanings and the where things are kind of going right now is potentially the early stages or just full-blown rheumatoid arthritis, which is an autoimmune condition. It's one that attacks the joints. It's one that typically starts off by attacking smaller joints such as fingers, wrist, things of that variety, but it can go after bigger joints. It does have a couple of other things that are associated with it, which, whenever I read it, really made it seem very much we're heading on the right direction here, my doctors and I, because of slow healing, which I've noted a lot over the past couple of years, especially slowly but surely, and I'm not diabetic, so that is something that has caused a little bit of concern. I've been tested for diabetes and it came back negative. So there's been some medication that's been dispensed to me in order to help out with that. Definitely some stuff to help out with the pain. Definitely some stuff to try to combat this. It's a condition that is really, there's no real cure for it. And it's something that you manage it. And, it's funny because I've been managing it, without anything for 10 to 12 years, however long it may be. But, so management it doesn't cause a diagnosis or anything like that to really hit you with a lot of, finality or, a hurt, You're thinking maybe it would take you back to that depression point, but no, not really. I'm just really kind of keen on having answers and understanding things a little bit more. So, that really showcases sometimes the differences between certain folks that sort of take things like that the wrong way. There's other things that are probably wrong with me. I get a couple more headaches than I used to, but I'm getting older. I'm getting older. Stuff like this is going to happen. Our bodies are not going to be perfect forever, and we have to just learn to be happy and live with what we have and continue to be active, considering activity is something that really keeps the soul rich and keeps the body actively healing itself and actively staying positive. So if you notice, there's been a big time twinge or change in the videos a little bit, where even if I'm being highly critical and even downright nasty towards something, I'm pretty calm and not nearly as angry as I used to be. Just trying to maintain a little bit of that balance. It's not always easy to do, and sometimes whenever that collection of stuff comes up and I need to lash out a little bit, that's when you see usually something that's a little bit more direct. And I don't really like to do angry videos very much anymore because at times it feels really forced, and I think I've run the gamut of what my brain is able to construct as far as insult is concerned, though I will probably prove myself wrong within the next year. Speaking of finances briefly, and this is something that I don't like to talk about a lot, so this is going to be very brief. I've never really been at a really happy place with how much I've earned at jobs, or, I'm very proud of what this channel has become. However, if you think that this means that I am living large in some place, you are absolutely dead wrong. This is not a way to make a living, that's for sure, unless you are somebody that is getting hundreds of thousands of views per day. It is definitely not a way to make a living. You struggle, you live paycheck to paycheck, you look at each and every month and see what bills are due, and you basically pray to God that something does not fuck up in your life that causes you to need extra cash, because you tend to, skate by on very little, and you are using a lot of your wits for creative ways to sort of pay things off and get things accomplished. It's definitely not something where you can walk into a car dealership and put down a down payment on a brand new car or something like that. So the reason why the Patreon exists is to hopefully provide the channel with some upgrades in the future, but also it's a way in which to get a little bit closer to what a lot of you probably hope would happen with the channel, with the fact that there's 10 million views now. We're doing pretty darn well. This has definitely been a fantastic year, but the Patreon is also there to hopefully cause this to be more of a permanent residence for me, more of a permanent position, and getting into a place where that can be handled without a multitude of stress is what causes me to have, would cause me to have more free time, more ability, and things of that variety. I might be able to get to more reviews, might be able to stream a little bit more. It really opens up a lot of doors, because this is, for right now, part of my living. It is a big part of my living. A lot of what I do on the side is mostly along the lines of, like lawn and different care during the summertime. It's something that I've done ever since I was a kid. So that has just always been a side venture for me that always has been present. But, I'm not looking to just have money just because, just give money just because I'm me. That's the thing. And that's why I don't like talking about finances, because I don't like talking about, I don't like feeling like I failed. That's something that has always been present. I don't like feeling like I failed. I really don't even like saying this, what I'm about to say, but I will, because I am also a business management major. So I know the importance of presenting things to people, and I know the importance that you need to tell people that things are available. But if you would like to see, or if you're interested in helping this become more of a permanent residence for me, more of a career, there is a Patreon page, and I'm also going to be working on getting something together that's more for one-time tips or donations. Because I know that some of you have stated that the Patreon is a little confusing, considering it's a monthly drop, and that can be a little bit concerning. It can be a little bit rough. You only want to do it once, and you have to go in there and change things after you get charged, which could be, weeks down the line. So I'm looking into doing that. I'm looking into merchandise. I'm looking into 1,001 things at once. The last thing that I will say today is that I just hope that a lot of you understand whenever I sometimes get a little bit antsy or a little bit pissed about not getting to an album that you wanted me to talk about, or not having certain things done. I am, at my core, and in the end of the day, just one man. Just one single man that is running this operation, that's doing all the research, all of the shooting, the listening, the recording, editing, as minor as they may be, posting, social media outreach. Trying to get to everything is quite the chore as it is. I would love to add more, and I want to add more. I will eventually add more, but man, I need like a hot secretary or something. Either that, or it'd be really neat to have an overall collective of people come together and have our individual channels, but then also work toward a collective channel that functions sort of like a business, because doing this as just one man is not always the easiest. It gets extremely frustrating. It can at times get very lonely, amazingly enough. If you want the reality of it, it can get very lonely sometimes, being cooped up in a studio working on this stuff for 7 to 8 hours at a time. It can be exceptionally frustrating whenever takes don't go the way you want to. I've tried to cut down a little bit on some imperfection in order to present things a little bit differently and better. So multi-taking has become almost necessary. And by multi-taking, I mean multiple takes of the one take, I guess. Doing it until I do it right. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That's just more I wanted to get off of my chest with you guys. I think in the future, with this little side project of this channel, We're going to talk about maybe some things that I'm concerned about on the outside world. Some things that I really like. I don't want everything to be necessarily bad things that I get off of my chest. I want to talk a little bit more about maybe what it was like growing up, what got me into heavy metal, like what the journey was. I know that I did a video called My Music Journey that talked about that, but sometimes you need to reiterate these things. And just maybe I'll spend one of these videos talking about what I would love the channel to be. And that might not be a bad idea, because I would love to get to those positions, and maybe we can work on that together. We've already done so much together with 10 million views, nearly 50,000 subscribers. So I feel like asking any more of you would be wrong, but we'll talk. Thanks again for all of your support. I love you guys. I'm Coverkillernation, and I'll talk to you later.